Welcome everyone to another deep dive here at StockExplorers. Today we are taking a really fascinating look at Symbotic. It seems like a company that's really at the forefront of this whole wave of warehouse automation that we've all been seeing. I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, definitely. This is a company that's using some pretty cutting-edge technology, combining advanced robotics with AI to really try to optimize how warehouses function. It's pretty amazing to see how they're tackling these challenges in the supply chain.
For sure. And one thing that struck me right away is that Symbotic isn't some kind of Silicon Valley startup that just popped up overnight. It has roots that go back to 2007, and it was founded by a guy named Rick Cohen. What's interesting is that he didn't start out trying to revolutionize the entire warehouse industry. It all came from a much more practical need. His family actually owns a huge grocery distribution business called C&S Wholesale Grocers, and he was trying to solve some of the very real inefficiencies that they were facing.
Yeah, you're right. It's like a classic story of necessity breeding invention. They started out as a company called Case Pick Solutions, really focused on those very specific challenges within the grocery distribution world. But as they developed their technology, it became clear that it had much broader applications, and that's where the name Symbotic comes in. It signals a shift towards a more universal approach to enhancing efficiency, accuracy, and speed, not just in grocery, but across a variety of industries.
Right, and the market definitely recognized their potential. They went public on NASDAQ in 2022, trading under the ticker SYM. I mean, that move really positioned them as a major player in the warehouse automation space.
Hmm.
And we're talking about a huge market here. It's estimated to be worth around $350 billion. There's a lot of room for growth and innovation in that space.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. We're going to delve into exactly what Symbotic does, what makes their technology stand out from the competition, explore this crucial relationship they have with Walmart, that's a big one, and unpack how their recent acquisition of a micro-fulfillment business could be a real game changer for their growth. And of course, we'll look at when they expect to actually turn a profit and what their vision is for the future.
Sounds good. So let's jump right in. I think for many people, the first question is just, what does Symbotic actually do? I mean, it's this whole idea of warehouse automation. But can you break it down for me? Like, imagine I'm someone who's never even stepped foot inside a warehouse.
Sure, I can definitely do that. So picture a typical warehouse. You have these long aisles with shelves stacked high with all sorts of products. You have people driving around on forklifts, picking items off the shelves, moving things around. It can be a pretty chaotic and labor-intensive environment. Now, what Symbotic does is essentially replace a lot of that manual human activity with a system of incredibly sophisticated robots, all powered by AI. Think of it as bringing a level of intelligence and coordination to the warehouse that wasn't there before.
So it's like replacing all those forklifts and human pickers with robots.
Exactly. And these aren't just any robots. These are what Symbotic calls Symbots. They are autonomous robots, meaning they can navigate the warehouse completely on their own without any human intervention. And get this, they can move at speeds of over 20 miles an hour.
Wow, 20 miles an hour in a warehouse. That's pretty impressive. I wouldn't want to be walking around in there. How do they make sure all those robots don't just bump into each other at those speeds?
That's where the AI comes in. It's the brain behind the whole operation. The AI is constantly optimizing everything in real time. It calculates the most efficient routes for the robots, determines the best placement for inventory, figures out the optimal way to assemble orders. This level of intelligent orchestration is what allows them to achieve those speeds safely and efficiently. And it goes beyond just preventing collisions. It's about minimizing wasted movement and ensuring that everything flows as smoothly as possible.
Okay, so it's like the AI is conducting this whole intricate ballet of robots. So they have the robots, they have the AI. Sounds like a pretty powerful combination. What types of businesses are really finding this technology the most useful?
You're right. It's a very powerful system, and we're seeing it being adopted across a pretty wide range of industries, really anywhere where there's a need to manage large volumes of physical goods. So, for instance, big retailers like Target are using Symbotic system to really streamline how they move products from their distribution centers to their stores.
Makes sense. Retailers are always looking for ways to speed up their supply chains and get products to customers faster. Who else is using it?
Well, of course, grocery companies are still a big focus, given Symbotic's roots in that space. They're really good at handling both perishable and non-perishable goods. We're also seeing a lot of interest from e-commerce businesses, where the need for super fast order fulfillment is really intense. And then you even have sectors like pharmaceuticals and automotive manufacturing, where precision and speed are absolutely critical, starting to adopt Symbotic solutions.
So it seems like their technology is pretty versatile.
Hmm.
Now let's talk business for a second. How does Symbotic actually make money? Is it just about selling these robots?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. They do, of course, sell the hardware, the robotic systems themselves, but they also license the software that controls the entire operation. That software is really the heart of their system, and it's incredibly valuable. And then they have a whole subscription-based model for ongoing maintenance, technical support, and software updates. That recurring revenue stream is becoming increasingly important for them. It creates a more stable and predictable revenue flow.
That makes sense. So it's not just a one-time sale, it's an ongoing relationship with their clients.
Right.
Now, this technology has obviously been in development for a while. It started back in 2007. I imagine things have come a long way since those early days. What were some of the big breakthroughs that Symbotic had along the way?
Oh, it's been a constant process of evolution and refinement. One of the early challenges they overcame was developing truly untethered robots. Back in the early days of warehouse automation, a lot of systems relied on robots that followed fixed tracks or wires. Symbotic was really a pioneer in creating robots that could move freely and make decisions about their own navigation within a complex warehouse environment.
So more flexibility and less reliance on fixed infrastructure. What other innovations were crucial for them?
Well, a major one was the development of their incredibly advanced vision systems. These robots have to be able to operate very close to each other at very high speeds, and that requires incredibly precise sensing and control. Symbotics robots use a combination of RGB and 3D cameras to create real-time maps of their surroundings, detect obstacles, and even inspect the condition of the cases they're handling.
That's pretty amazing. It sounds like they're almost seeing the warehouse in a way that humans can't.
Right, they're gathering and processing information at a level that's beyond human capability. And then they developed this proprietary software that can coordinate the actions of hundreds of robots, all operating simultaneously in a very dense storage environment. That was a big deal because it allowed them to really maximize the use of warehouse space, which is something their clients really value. Their latest generation robot, the Symbot, has even more processing power on board, which means it can make even more decisions in real time without having to constantly communicate with a central server. And they're not stopping there. They're actively working on solutions for refrigerated environments, which would open up a whole new segment of the market for them.
So it sounds like they're constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this technology. Now, there are a lot of companies out there talking about warehouse automation. What gives Symbotic a real edge over the competition? What are their unique advantages?
Well, I think their key advantage is the way they combine those three things we've been talking about: the advanced mobile robots, the sophisticated AI software, and the modular design of their entire system. That modularity is important because it means companies can implement Symbotic's technology into their existing warehouses without needing to completely overhaul their entire infrastructure. And because it's modular, it's very scalable. They can easily add more robots and more storage capacity as their clients' needs grow.
That's a big deal. I imagine a lot of businesses are hesitant to invest in automation if it means they have to basically build a whole new warehouse.
Absolutely. It can be hugely disruptive and expensive to do that. And Symbotic's system is designed to work with high-density storage configurations, which means they can squeeze a lot more inventory into the same amount of space. That's really important these days when warehouse space is at a premium.
So they're not just automating, they're also optimizing the use of that space. What other things set them apart from the competition?
Another big one is their ability to create what they call ultra-tall aisle-ready pallets. They use these AI algorithms to determine the most efficient and stable way to stack items on a pallet, taking into account things like the crushability of products, how they might be displayed in a store, and even promotional considerations. This means that when a pallet arrives at a store, it's already perfectly organized for easy restocking. It saves retailers a lot of time and labor.
So it's not just about moving products around, it's about preparing them for the next step in the supply chain. How does Symbotic's system compare to some of the other types of warehouse automation we might have heard about?
That's a good question. There are a few main categories of warehouse automation. You have traditional automated storage and retrieval systems, or ASRS, which often use big robotic cranes that move along fixed aisles to access vertically stored items. These can be efficient for certain applications, but they lack the flexibility and speed of Symbotic's system.
Okay, so ASRS is more about fixed infrastructure. What else is out there?
Then you have autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs. These are similar to Symbotic's robots in that they can move around freely, but they typically handle smaller loads and often don't have the same level of sophisticated AI integration for end-to-end process optimization. And then you have robotic picking systems, which are often used to automate the picking of individual items from shelves. These systems are great for certain tasks, but Symbotic's strength is in providing that fully integrated case-level solution with that unique custom palletization capability that we discussed earlier.
It sounds like Symbotic is really focused on that end-to-end solution, particularly for businesses that are moving cases of goods, like retailers and grocery companies.
Yeah, exactly. Their sweet spot is in providing high-speed, end-to-end automation, and that custom palletization is a really valuable feature for a lot of their clients. Now, since we've been talking so much about those Symbot robots, why don't we delve into some of the specifics of what makes them so capable?
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about the robots themselves. What are some of their key features?
Well, first off, they are fast. We've already talked about their speed, but it's worth emphasizing. They can move at over 20 miles per hour within the warehouse. And to manage that speed safely, they have some pretty advanced traction control systems. They can make very tight turns, which allows them to navigate through those narrow aisles quickly and efficiently.
And how do they sense their surroundings and avoid obstacles?
They have a whole suite of advanced vision and sensing technologies. Each Symbot has multiple RGB cameras that provide depth perception and very precise localization within the warehouse. They also have onboard 3D cameras that allow them to do detailed object detection. This means they can identify the items they're supposed to pick up, and they can also inspect the cases for any damage.
So they can essentially see and understand their environment in 3 dimensions.
Exactly. That 3D mapping capability is also crucial for building those optimized palettes we talked about. Now, in addition to those cameras, they also have AI built right into the robots themselves. So while they're guided by the overall system software, they can also make decisions on their own in real time, reacting to changes in their environment or adjusting their actions as needed. And they leverage machine learning, so they're constantly improving their performance based on all the data they collect as they operate.
It's amazing how much technology is packed into these robots. How do they actually pick up and move all these cases of goods?
They have some really sophisticated case handling mechanisms. Their lifting systems can actually adjust their position while the robot is in motion, which speeds up the process of picking and placing items.
Hmm.
And they're designed to handle a wide range of case sizes and shapes. They have these specialized grippers and end-of-arm tools that can securely grasp and move the cases without damaging them.
I imagine reliability is a big concern in this kind of system. What happens if one of these robots malfunctions?
Well, that's where the modularity comes in again. The system is designed in such a way that if one robot needs maintenance, it doesn't shut down the entire operation. The other robots can simply route around the problem area and continue working. This redundancy is really important for maintaining uptime and ensuring that orders are fulfilled on time. And they're also designed to be very energy efficient. They use ultracapacitors that allow for very quick bursts of power and rapid recharging, which means they don't have to spend a lot of time plugged in.
So all those features together must lead to some pretty impressive levels of productivity.
They do. A typical Symbotic system can handle over 15,000 case moves per hour, which is a lot higher than what most traditional warehouse systems can achieve. And just to bring it back to that palletization point, their AI algorithms are constantly refining the way they build those ultra-tall, aisle-ready pallets, taking into account weight distribution, fragility, and even things like promotional displays in stores. It's a very intelligent system.
Okay, let's shift gears now and talk about Symbotic's relationship with Walmart. They seem to be very closely intertwined.
They are. Walmart is by far Symbotic's biggest and most important client right now. They have this huge deal in place to automate all 42 of Walmart's regional distribution centers across the U.S. That's a massive undertaking, and it really speaks to the level of trust and confidence that Walmart has in Symbotic's technology.
And it goes beyond just being a customer, right? There was a pretty significant acquisition that deepened their relationship.
Yeah, back in 2025, Symbotic actually acquired Walmart's advanced systems and robotics business. This was a big move that brought Walmart's own internal expertise in warehouse automation directly into Symbotic. It further solidified their partnership and created a very tight integration between the two companies.
And Walmart seems to be betting big on Symbotic's technology for their future plans as well.
Absolutely. They have made a commitment to use Symbotic system in up to 400 of their accelerated pickup and delivery centers, or APD centers. These are essentially smaller fulfillment centers that are designed to quickly get online orders ready for either customer pickup or last mile delivery. It's a key part of Walmart's strategy to compete with Amazon and other e-commerce giants.
So Symbotic is playing a crucial role in helping Walmart achieve its e-commerce goals. But having such a dominant client must also come with some risks.
That's a very important point. It's something investors always need to consider when they're looking at a company like Symbotic. It's what we call concentration risk. In their fiscal year 2024, Walmart accounted for about 87% of Symbotic's total revenue. That's a huge percentage. It means that if, for whatever reason, Walmart decided to scale back its investment in Symbotic or even cancel their contracts, it could have a really significant impact on Symbotic's business.
Wow, 87%. That's a lot of eggs in one basket. Are Symbotic doing anything to try to diversify their customer base and reduce this concentration risk?
They are. They've been working to secure deals with other major companies, and they've had some success. They now have clients like Target, Albertsons, CNS Wholesale Grocers, Performance Food Group, and a few others. But right now, the revenue from those other clients is still much smaller compared to what they're getting from Walmart.
So diversification is definitely something they're working on, but they have a ways to go.
Yeah.
Let's dive into that acquisition we touched on earlier, the one where Symbotic bought Walmart's micro-fulfillment business. What's the strategic thinking behind that move? How does it benefit Symbotic?
This acquisition was a really interesting development. It essentially added a whole new capability to Symbotic's portfolio micro-fulfillment solutions. As we've been discussing, micro-fulfillment is all about creating these smaller, highly automated fulfillment centers that are located closer to customers. It allows businesses to offer things like same-day or next-day delivery, which is becoming increasingly important in the e-commerce world.
Right, it's about meeting those rising customer expectations for super fast delivery.
Exactly. And the acquisition had some immediate financial benefits for Symbotic. Walmart paid them $520 million for the micro-fulfillment development program, with $230 million of that coming in upfront when the deal closed.
So a nice little cash infusion right away. What about the longer-term implications?
Well, the deal, along with other related agreements, could potentially add over $5 billion to Symbotic's future backlog of orders. That's a huge amount of potential future revenue. Plus, there's this contingent consideration piece, which means they could get up to another $350 million depending on how many of those accelerated pickup and delivery systems Walmart actually ends up ordering.
So it sets them up for some pretty significant growth down the line.
Yeah.
How does this move change the overall market opportunity for Symbotic?
It really expands our addressable market in a big way. The micro-fulfillment space is growing rapidly, and it's estimated to be worth over $300 billion in the U.S. alone. Now, Symbotic can go after that market with a proven solution. They're no longer limited to just those large-scale distribution center automation projects.
So they can target a much wider range of businesses now.
Exactly. They can offer solutions for everything from those massive regional distribution centers all the way down to those smaller, more localized fulfillment centers. It allows them to tap into the growing demand for faster e-commerce fulfillment across the board.
So for those who might not be super familiar with the whole micro-fulfillment concept, can you explain a little more about what it actually entails and why it's becoming so important?
Sure. Micro-fulfillment is really a response to the challenges of e-commerce. As more and more people shop online, businesses are facing this pressure to get orders to customers as quickly as possible. Traditionally, businesses have relied on these big centralized warehouses. But those are often located far away from urban areas, which makes it difficult to offer really fast delivery times. Micro-fulfillment centers, or MFCs, are different. They're much smaller, more compact, and strategically located within cities or close to where customers actually live.
So it's like bringing the inventory closer to the demand.
Exactly. And these MFCs are designed to be highly automated. They often use systems very similarly to what Symbotic offers, robots moving around, picking items, packing orders. This automation makes a whole process much faster and more efficient.
And what are the advantages for businesses that adopt these micro-fulfillment strategies?
Well, obviously, faster delivery times are a big one. That's really what it's all about, being able to offer same-day or next-day delivery. It also helps businesses save money on last-mile delivery costs because the delivery distances are much shorter. And because they're holding inventory closer to the point of demand, they can manage their inventory more effectively. It also leads to a better customer experience because people are getting their orders faster and more conveniently.
It makes a lot of sense. So why would Walmart, a company known for its logistical expertise, decide to sell this part of their business to Symbotic?
Well, it's likely a combination of factors. They've obviously been working closely with Symbotic for quite a while, and they clearly see Symbotic as a leader in this space. They probably realized that it made more sense to leverage Symbotic's expertise than to try to develop and scale these micro-fulfillment solutions entirely in-house.
So it's like focusing on their core competencies and outsourcing the technology to a specialist.
Right. And remember, Walmart is investing heavily in growing its e-commerce business. They see these APD centers and these micro-fulfillment capabilities as essential for competing in the online world. By partnering with Symbotic, they can accelerate the rollout of these systems and benefit from Symbotic's ongoing innovation in this space.
And were there any financial incentives for Walmart to make this move?
Yes, definitely. As part of the deal, Symbotic made an upfront payment of $200 million to Walmart. And there's the potential for Walmart to receive another $350 million in contingent payments down the road. So it was a nice financial boost for them. Plus, it frees them from the ongoing costs of developing and maintaining their own robotics technology. They can now focus on their retail operations and let Symbotic handle the automation piece.
It sounds like a pretty strategic move on Walmart's part. Looking ahead now, when do we expect Symbotic to become profitable? What's the financial outlook?
The expectation right now is that they will reach profitability in 2025. They're still projecting a loss for 2024, but after that, they should be in the black. Analyst estimates for their earnings in 2025 are in the range of $152 to $161 million.
So a pretty significant turnaround coming up. What's driving this positive outlook?
Well, they've been showing some pretty impressive revenue growth. Their revenue was up 35% year over year in the first quarter of fiscal year 2025. They're also starting to see improvements in their profit margins, which indicates they're becoming more efficient as they scale their operations. If they can sustain these high growth rates and continue to execute on their large-scale deployments, particularly with Walmart, they should be in a good position. And remember, they have a debt-free balance sheet, which gives them a lot of flexibility to invest in their growth.
So profitability is on the horizon. But what about beyond that? What are Symbotic's long-term plans for growth and expansion?
Well, they have a pretty comprehensive strategy in place. First and foremost, they want to continue strengthening their partnership with Walmart and make sure they're successfully deploying those APD systems across all those locations.
Hmm.
At the same time, they're actively trying to diversify their customer base. We talked about those other clients they've brought on board. They need to continue expanding in that area.
And what about expanding outside the U.S.?
Yeah, international expansion is a big part of their plan. They're exploring opportunities in Europe and Asia where the demand for warehouse automation is growing rapidly. They've also already started deploying systems in Mexico through their partnership with Walmex, which is Walmart's subsidiary in that region.
So it sounds like they're looking at multiple avenues for growth. Anything else?
Yes, another key part of their strategy is to increase the proportion of their revenue that comes from recurring sources like software subscriptions and those ongoing support and maintenance contracts. Those types of revenue streams tend to be more predictable and often have higher profit margins. They're projecting that this recurring revenue could reach around $32 million by fiscal year 2025, with a gross margin of about 65%. So that's a big focus for them.
So a more stable and predictable revenue base. What else are they focusing on?
Well, of course, they're continuing to invest heavily in R&D. They know they need to stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly evolving field. So they're constantly working on improving their AI algorithms, developing new robotic technologies, and exploring other innovations. They're also working on integrating those micro-fulfillment solutions they acquired from Walmart into their broader product offering, making it a seamless part of their platform. And they're constantly trying to refine their deployment processes so they can get these systems up and running for new clients more quickly and efficiently. They're also exploring opportunities to offer additional services to their clients, things like consulting, training, and more comprehensive maintenance packages. And finally, they're putting a lot of emphasis on developing more sustainable solutions, which is becoming increasingly important for businesses of all types.
So a multi-pronged approach to growth, covering everything from technology and customer acquisition to international expansion and sustainability. To wrap things up here, what are the key takeaways we should remember about Symbotic?
I think the main thing is that they are a company at the forefront of this whole warehouse automation revolution. They're combining cutting-edge robotics with powerful AI to transform how warehouses operate. Their relationship with Walmart is incredibly important right now, but they're actively working to diversify their client base and expand into new markets globally. They have a clear path to profitability, and they have this ambitious strategy in place to drive future growth. It's a really fascinating company to watch.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. This has been a really illuminating look at Symbotic and the broader trends shaping the warehouse automation space.
My pleasure. It's an exciting area, and I think we're just at the beginning of seeing how these technologies will reshape the way we do business.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope you found this deep dive into Symbotic informative and engaging. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to Stock Explorers for more in-depth analyses of fascinating companies and industry trends. Don't forget to give us a like and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next deep dive. Until then,